unless you've been living under a rock, you've known that there are problems with the housing market in the United States. And some people think it's a pricing problem. Some people think there's not enough houses. Some people think there's inequality. But in reality, the bottom line is that there's just not enough houses. There's not enough residences for people to live in. There's estimates that the shortage is about 5 million residences for people to live in. Some people say 2, some people say 6 or 7, but roughly 4 or 5 million homes are short versus the number of people that want them. And this is a great article from Insider where it talks about the housing shortage is the root of all America's problems. They're not only talking about the housing problem, they're talking about everything else. They're talking about homelessness, they're talking about even income, they're talking about jobs, they're talking about the economy. Everything has to do with housing. And the argument they make is because of the fact that people don't have secure, affordable housing, it creates all these other issues, inequality, even racism, everything else. And they talk about the reason why there's a housing shortage. So if it's true that there's not enough houses, why is that the case? Well, the easy answer is the U.S. hasn't built enough homes in recent decades. And the shortage is among the reasons homes are affordable for many people. Well, why is that? Why isn't there not enough homes built? Obviously, like most industries, it's supply and demand. If people want houses, why not build them? Just like if there's a shortage of cars, the price is going to go up and the manufacturers build more. Well, the reality is there's more to building a house than just people wanting to buy them. You also need to have the 3 or 4 other factors that go into building a house. You need to have the capacity to build them and the permission to build them. That's the key. There are plenty of builders, right? Builders want to build stuff. As a general contractor, we want to build things. It's not like we want to sit around doing nothing all day. We want to build things. We want to get out there and dig in the dirt and construct framing and pour concrete and put on roofs and do interior work. We want to do all that stuff. So the more jobs we have, the better. Why aren't there more homes being built? Well, the first thing we need is property to build on, right? So if you're going to build a house, you need a piece of land. Well, there's actually plenty of land. There's land out there. The question, though, is can you get a permit and zoning and approvals to build on that land? If you're building a house out in the middle of nowhere away from population centers, it's relatively easy to get permits and zoning and approvals to build a house. The problem is that's not where most people want to build a house and live in a house. They want to be in and close to communication centers and employment centers. In those areas, it's much more difficult to get zoning and approvals because anytime you're building a house close to another house, there's going to be pushback. The person even that lives next door likes that empty lot next to yours, so they may push back. And it may be more global than that. It may be that the town doesn't want to build more houses or want to improve your construction. And if they do, they're going to have a lot of restrictions on that development. And those restrictions might be things like you can only build so big of a house. It also might be financial. In many cases, the permit fees and the approval fees might put the cost of the house out of reach for the buyer you want. For example, in some areas of California, all the permitting and approvals and application fees can add up to $150,000 to $200,000 before you even break ground. That has to be added onto the cost of the house. So now, whatever your house cost is, you have to add $200,000. That might price it out of reach for affordable homes. The other thing that may happen is the approval process may take a long time. In rural areas, in some counties, you can get a permit approval done in 15 to 30 days. You could be digging your house and building very, very quickly. There are areas in parts of San Francisco where it might take 2 years to get your approvals done. In that period of time, you have your carrying costs, you have the uncertainty that it's going to get approved, you may have to change your plans. There's also, in many parts of the country, the ability for third parties unrelated to your development to object to it. In California, anybody who could come forward and say, we don't like this project because of environmental or some species that has to be protected or the quality of life in that neighborhood, and they can file a lawsuit and block that property from being developed. The bottom line is that builders want to build. there are a lot of obstacles, financial and otherwise, to get more properties done. There are certainly answers that could be put on the table that could get more properties done tomorrow. There still is one new obstacle to building more homes, which is workforce, right? So even if you're a builder and you get approval to build 1,000 homes and you have all the real estate and you have all the lot work done, it may be difficult to get the quality and volume of employees, of skilled tradespeople, to do all that work, just because the workforce has been deteriorated over the last couple of years. That can be probably overcome if you're a very skilled manager and very skilled at project management and efficiency, but it will make it a little more difficult than it was a few years ago. So this real estate crisis has a lot to do with the volume of construction, and general contractors can solve this along with cooperation with government agencies, property owners, and even the employment industry.